before we get started, I would like to do a little warm-up exercise with you. We start with a very simple things. Is here anyone from Red Hat? And anyone who went to the social event yesterday? Anyone who's still a little bit hangover? No? That's good. Oh, OK. People in the behind. And is there anyone from you who went over Agile transformation? Anyone who enjoyed it? And anyone who found it as a really bad experience? OK, that's good to know. So you told me a little bit about yourself. Now let's talk about myself and today's topic, what is Agile transformations, and why do we keep failing in those? So who am I? My name is Robert Piestansky. And just to not spend 2 hours talking about my CV and history, I was trying to sum it up in a short sentence. So my last 10 years, I've been working with different organizations. And I was trying to help them with continuous improvement. In many cases, it was Agile transformations, but also change management, introduction of new processes, systems, and so on. And I am a man of routines. So I often say about myself that I hate changes. When would you ask my friends? They would probably tell you, like, OK, but you're a person who lived in last 10 years in 12 different houses or apartments. You moved through 3 countries and worked over lots of jobs. So it really depends on the perspective, how you look at it. But I kind of that made me think about it that I like changes, but only certain type of changes. And these changes need to come within. If I want to do something and I know why I want to do it, what I want to achieve with that, and especially if I can mentally prepare myself that something's going to be changing in my life. These are the things that keeps me going. And if you look at Agile transformations, these are also very basics that people often get wrong when they're going into the transformation. Because it's about changing of something. And if you just put a lot of things on people, and you don't discuss why you're doing those, you don't give them time to prepare, to share their feedback, then the probability that it's not going to work as you planned, it's very high. So these are just a few things that we're going to touch in more details during the presentation. But to start with, we should establish some basic terminology. And I saw a lot of you raised hands that you went over Agile transformation. And during those years and experiences with different companies, I found out one thing, that everyone understands something different under Agile transformation. So I'm going to show you what is my understanding of Agile transformation. I'm not saying it's the only thing and the right thing, but just for the context of the presentation, so you understand where my points are coming from. There's going to be a lot of AI-generated pictures through this presentation. This is one of them. So Agile transformation for me is when you look from your perspective on the left side. It's formed with some values and principles that were established a long time ago. And these values and principles, kind of together with culture and mindset, wrap up the whole transformation. And of course, in many cases, you need frameworks, you need tools to support those. But what people often do, they just exchange those things. So what is really important and what you should remember is values and principles, culture and mindset, frameworks and tools. Yes, they can help you to achieve what you need. But a lot of companies go into the transformation and they just look at frameworks. They look at the tools, some meetings maybe. And that's not the transformation. It's much more complex. And if you don't focus on the things that really matter at the beginning, the probability that you make any reasonable changes is very low. And then on the right side, from your perspective, when you go into transformation, or if you want to do any changes, you should have some goals. And this is what is often missing as well when I see companies trying to make any changes. So, and what I think those goals should be. Like reasonable goals for me for Agile transformation would be, we miss transparency in our work to make better decisions about maybe priorities, maybe resources that we need for certain initiatives, or we need a better dependency management. There are much more examples, and like you can think about thousands of examples. What is the problem? In many cases, transformations have no goals, or the goals are very vague, or the goals are not relevant for the organization. So I want to emphasize this in a slide as well, because you can see it like so often when you look at companies who are trying to do Agile transformation. Framework obsession is not transformation. If you introduce some framework with certain meetings and you don't change anything under the surface, then you don't change anything in reality. You just put, in most of the cases, extra meeting on the shoulders of people, some extra administrative work, but that's pretty much about it. And about the transformation or change management in our household, because that always motivates me. And I try to connect work and personal life, like how it all works out. These are our 2 dogs. And I think we did, over the years, like pretty good change management with them. But in certain things, we just did not manage to get results. The one on the left side, his name is Ushko. And he has behavior issues. Simplified, he hates 90% of the dogs. We don't know why. We had different consultations, we tried different things, and people told us, like, yeah, he's so small, so he's probably scared of like other dogs, so you need to encourage him, give him something to eat, like nothing worked. We tried many things, maybe something will work, we haven't gave up yet, but let's say it's complicated. And what we found out over those years, he just has a huge nitro complex. He's testosterone-driven dog. He's not scared of other dogs. He just wants to prove to them that I'm the boss here. I'm stronger. So we find a way actually how to mitigate those situations. Or when we see other dogs, we try to go around them, take him somewhere. And how is it connected with the transformations? Sometimes if you come to the company as transformation leader, and you just see culture is not there, things are not working out, there's a huge resistance from people. It's OK to say, like, let's stop this. The best thing, like, in some cases, the best advice I could give to companies was, let's just pause what you're doing now. Let's just refocus. And let's ask the right questions about, like, why we started this, why there is a pushback from the people. So it's OK to take a step back, and not every time you can make the change. Sometimes you just need to get to the right time and the right circumstances. And most of the things I learned in my life and made actually impact were from cartoons. And this was actually a very first slide that I had for this presentation. And it's from Shrek. And he was telling to Donkey, like, orcs are like onions. They have layers. Onions have layers. Maybe you remember this from Shrek. And when I was thinking about it, transformations are exactly the same. And when Shrek was saying this to Donkey, Donkey didn't understand. So I hope at the end of this presentation, you will understand what I meant by this. And that's why let's introduce the transformation onion. Some more AI-generated pictures. But how is this connected with transformations? Transformations are about understanding what you want to achieve, but also understanding of the things that you do will have impact on different people, different teams, and you need to consider the context with every decision you make. And if you don't spend time to analyze how is the organization, how are the customers, how the teams collaborate, then you can come up with a really silly decisions that can get you totally off the track. And as you look at it, like first glance, you see a different picture. If you cut it through, if you peel it off, if you look through these layers, then the picture is coming together and it's going to constantly evolve. And just to prove my point, a little experiment. The blank slide. It's OK. It's not a mistake. And before I started the presentation, I asked about, like, for people online, I'm going to be positively assuming there are some people watching us online. What is the stream? What's the size of the camera where people can see me? And they said, like, it's probably pretty much the stage. And don't try to go over this. So that's exactly what I'm going to do now. So if someone's watching online right now, they probably see blank slide. They can hear something. If I want to be really mean, I can cover my microphone so they don't hear anything. And without me, like, asking these questions before, for us, everyone in this room, it doesn't make much difference. Like, you can see anything here, but you can still hear me, or you can see me. But for people online, it makes a difference. So again, if you want to do any change, not only agile transformation, context matters. And take the time to understand the circumstances and the impact of the decisions you're going to make. 70% of the changes fail. And this is not some number I made up. I added a link there too for some McKinsey study. And it's not only agile transformations, but if you look at more surveys over last 30 years, the results are pretty much the same. 70% of these initiatives fail. That can raise the question, is it OK to fail? Well, yes and no. I explain why. Another onion. Over the last year and a half, I've worked a lot with people from Denmark. And what I really liked about them was their honesty and straightforwardness in lots of situations. And when something went, like, horribly wrong in the project, in Slovakia or Czech Republic, like, we would probably swear a lot. And people from Denmark, they were just, it is what it is. Let's deal with it. Let's just move on. Don't spend time, like, moaning about it, and go ahead. And this is a good approach. But also, you should be aware of some other things. But let's just stay here for now. It is what it is. Like, if you're going to do agile transformation or any other change management, you're going to fail. And you're going to fail a lot. But you should be able to learn from those failures. If you just keep failing and you stay positive, you may end up here. The whole house is on fire, and it's just too late to do anything with it. So, you shouldn't be discouraged when you fail, but always be honest with you. Don't let it to get to this situation when you're just going to be, oh, we missed this release. OK, that's fine. We had a bug, we just make our whole product dysfunction. It's OK, let's just carry on. We don't need to change anything. So always think about the context. Don't let the mistakes or failures let you down, but learn from them. And what can help you with this is actually to focus on value. That's another mistake that people do when they try to do agile transformations. Because today, like, we live in a fast-paced world, and everything is about numbers. So often when you come to the company, leadership, they want to see numbers. Then they push it down to upper-level management. They push it down to lower-level management. They push it down on people. And instead of value, everyone is just trying to deliver some numbers. If you ask, like, what these numbers mean, no one really knows. But that's what they count your bonuses on. That's what they account your performance on. So yeah, everyone's just delivering those numbers, but no one knows what they mean. Customer centricity. That's another thing which I see so often. And there's lots of companies that don't put a focus on their customer. And I don't want to talk about this today, because that's one big topic, and we can talk about, like, 2 days, like, how you can be more customer focused, and that's a separate presentation. What I want to focus on today, it's on those companies which over-focus on their customers. And also, to put it in the perspective on this presentation, me, as an agile transformation lead, my customers would be companies, management, leadership, teams. I used a quote from Henry Ford here, just to help me out a little bit. And what he said is like, if I ask people what they want, they would say faster horses. But that's not what I delivered. And at the end, like, car proved to be a better idea than faster horses. Also, if I come to the company and I ask leadership what they want to achieve, like, they give me some ideas. Teams give me some ideas. In many cases, nearly all of the cases, these ideas are completely different. Like, teams want complete autonomy, absolute freedom, don't go anywhere, don't update anything. Leadership, they don't care about it. They just want to see numbers. Like, tell me how much money we made. What is the capacity of the team? How much they can deliver over the next 6 months? How it's going to influence, like, if we want to deploy these 2 features in production, what's going to be the impact? So there are 2 different words. And during the transformation, you need to be able to balance those out. It's very difficult to make it happen. But if you don't do it, and I see a lot of Agile coaches, transformations managers just go to the teams and let's just, it's team's problem. Let's leave team to figure it out. And you need to provide certain freedom and autonomy to the teams, but you come to the company as an expert. So you should have some ideas and opinions, and your role should be to present them to the team, and then let team to make informed decision, but not just put all the weight on the team. I was trying to figure out like how to say Mr. Pose coming from the top to the bottom in nice words without insulting anyone. So maybe you know this game, but many transformations, all transformations that I saw start from the top. I actually never saw a transformation when someone, like a developer, would come to CEO and say, oh, I want to do Agile, let's just do it. I'm not saying it's not happening anywhere. I never experienced this. And sometimes it's above executive level. It's on the board level when those decisions are made. And if you really dig deeper, then you find out that in many cases, this decision is just made because everyone else is doing it. So we need to do it as well. So this is the message from board to CEO. The CEO goes to vice presidents or management below, and they just say, we need to do Agile transformation, make it happen. And it goes down and down and down until it gets to the teams. But you still have no idea like why. And then, because they have no idea why, they need to hire someone who will tell them at least how. And if you hiring for a role that you don't know, like what should I expect from this role, from this person, what we want to achieve, and you have no idea about Agile at all, which happens a lot, you would be surprised. Then you just may be asking these questions on the interviews and getting these answers. And just to give you example, I saw many interviews where people were asking, like, OK, can you describe Scrum? Explain to me Agile values and principles. And this is just repeating questions. So anyone can read it from internet. Anyone can learn it. But if you want someone to help you with Agile transformation, it's much more. So to sum up the previous slide, what I often see that leaders are looking for, years of Agile experience. If you look into those people, if someone has 15 years of experience, that's like, in most of the cases, 10 years of project management and product management experience when they added Agile to their role. You see tech background because it's a tech role, so definitely, you need to have tech background. You need to know the theory and frameworks. Ideally, if you have 20 certificates, for each you paid thousands of euros to get 2 days, and they tell you the same stuff over and over. And some companies make you to pay annual fees just to renew this certificate. Yeah, perfect candidate. If I could look for candidate, and there are some companies who are looking for the candidate, like these are the things you should be looking for. Skilled facilitator, negotiator, influencer. He should be to a certain level, iterate in project management, product management, program management. He should know some kind of the coding, or at least understand the life cycle of the product development. And we can go on and go on. But as you can see, like both of these sides, like how is it realistic to find these people? And on the left side, from your perspective, that was just like if you're hiring those people, you probably won't find the right person. But on the right side, that's kind of a superhero. And I don't want to disappoint anyone and ruin your dreams, but I don't think there are any superheroes. And if there are any of them, there's going to be so few that your possibilities that you're going to find the right person is very low. And you might just end up with something like this. You just hire Spider-Man, but after 2 months, in ideal case, in worst case, after 2 years, you just find out that that person was there, spending time of all the people, all the resources, and actually made things worse. And that person, it's like your driver. And if you drive kids to school, like you can have the safest bus, but if you have someone without a driving license, like would you let that person to drive your kids in school? Like, it can end up really badly. And it's the same with transformations. I just need to speed up a little bit now so we have time for the questions. Culture, it's kind of a buzzword, but I think it's so important. And culture can actually aid your transformation. It can also help your transformation to skyrocket, like to top heights. And when you're hiring someone, you should also consider this. Like I remember when I started at Red Hat, culture here was great. So it would not make sense probably to hire someone with a lot of soft skills just to explain people, how to work independently, bring their own ideas. Like that was all there. What I found as the biggest challenge with the teams I worked with was that other part. We can call it project management part, administrative part. Like if you work in large company, you need teams to collaborate. And to collaborate efficiently, if you reach certain size, you need some kind of administration to that. If I can just tell you one biggest mistakes in transformations in general, I think that would be assuming there's only one right way. And there are so many people in the world that think that their way is the right way. And each of them is different, of course. And that can be the first warning sign. Like if you're hiring someone, and they will be like, yeah, I know. Yeah, we're going to sort it out this way, that way. Like, there are so many situations that surprise me over those years when I meet the different teams that, like, I know there are more things I don't know than I know. Even if I work with the company for 5 years, there are things that can still surprise me. Last but not least, this is happening very often, and not only in agile transformations, in change management in general. What happens in large corporates, like you have some new executive hired. So they hired because they need to change something. They start to sweep things up, make a lot of changes, and then after 2-3 years, like people find out, oh, there's a new trend, and like halfway through all the changes, you just stop. You actually haven't made any progress. You just made a lot of stress to people, a lot of changes, and then you just press the reset button, and you go over again. And if you look at this over like, I don't know, 10, 15 years in one single organization, you can find out these spikes like, OK, new trend, hire people, go, and then someone realizes, it costs us lots of money, or it's not really bringing the results. So let's stop it. Let's just start with something else. So if you decide to go agile to do agile transformation, just prepare to be patient, but also be demanding. If you know what you want to achieve, then you can be demanding, and then you can see like if you're moving towards the right direction or not. Oh, we have 2 minutes left, so I just try to wrap this slide up. Like, this is called pyramid of impediments. It was introduced by Dominic Maximini. I just made a slight adjustments just to fit it, agile transformations in general, because he made it for Scrum. But you can see those layers here. Some of them are on org level. Some of them are on team level. And just the main message from this slide is, if you do any transformation, you just need to work through all of these layers. And it's not like one by one. You need to spend certain level of time on different layers. And as the teams and organization mature, what actually happens in most of the cases is this pyramid flips. So the things at the bottom, when you start, you spend most of time in them and least time on the things at the top. Over some time, it just flips. And you don't spend as much time with the teams explaining it. You just spend time with org. And what can you do differently just to have some things that you can actually take if you're experiencing agile transformation? Every time, start with purpose. Like, if you don't know why you're doing certain things, it's difficult. Like, how can you get to the goal if you don't know what the goal is? And especially, how are you going to sell it to people? What's going to be the benefit of this? If you see that's just surface changing are happening, that someone's introducing meetings and so on, and nothing changes below, try to challenge it. As an agile transformation lead, that person should help execs to ask better questions. Then that should lead them to hire for outcomes, not those buzzwords, theory, certificates. And last but not least, this is the most important of all, support teams. Don't try to control them, because a lot of people try to abuse transformation just to get control over the people and the teams. And once teams see that, like, OK, someone's trying to micromanage me here, that's a very thin line. And if you try to do it with the teams, like, people are clever. They always find ways how to go around it and how to gamify your data. And then you won't reach any results. I think that was a perfect timing. I just got to sign for a Q&A. So thank you very much for your attention. And now it's time for your questions.
If you're I want to mention first that the "this is fine" image, the dog has a red hat on. And I was checking to see if that's your modification, and I found out that it's not. It was always wearing a red hat. And the question I have is, if you are a leaf node in an organization that is being passed through this transformation, and you don't see a clear purpose for yourself, for the value that you might derive as a member of a Scrum team, let's say, what can you do to find that purpose, given that you have not been told what the purpose really is? Or you don't see some purpose for yourself. You might, the suits might see something, but you don't know what you can get out of it.
Yeah, that's a tricky one. Like, first, I would, before joining the company, I would ask them the interviews. Like, and if you're inside the company and they put you in that role, then I would come to people. Like, you can go to the teams you're working with, like, where you see the value of, like, me working with you. How can I help you? And you can also talk to your management and people above, because if you don't know what you should be doing, like, it's really difficult to, different companies have different expectations of what Scrum Master, Agile Coach, Transformation Lead should be doing. So that should come, like, within the company. And is it the case that the role is so vague that no one?
I guess I was not clear. I'm an engineer on a team, and we are going to be starting to do Scrum. So I'm kind of more interested in what I can get out of it.
Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to speak for your Scrum Master now, but what I tell teams usually, if, for example, Scrum or some kind of a process, what was the situation? Do you know why they made the decision, why they're making the switch? It can be, I saw situations when people were working like crazy hours because there was no clear prioritization. And anyone could push priorities on the team members, and then they were just trying to deliver on everything. And there was no one to make these decisions. OK, we have 3 POs. Everyone wants to have this delivered by a certain time. And what we're going to do now. Everyone's going to work 16 hours, we get it delivered, and then we go like to next period when we need to do. So this is one of the things I always tell to people, and one of the ways how I try to sell those things. Like, okay, once we have transparency and prioritization, we can make these decisions and trade-offs. So one of the benefits that you can have, if you get it right, is this, that you work in sustainable environment when someone else is actually making decisions for you in terms of how we're going to deliver this, all of those things, because we have no capacity. So it should provide you some data to support these decisions. And if you have the data, you can early spot like, okay, our backlog is growing, we're not going to deliver in this. And then people can make decisions about the trade-offs. So that's one of the benefits, I would say. Oh. Any other questions?
Yeah, I'm curious about, because in my experience, most of these, any kind of like agile transformations comes from people who push really hard on it, but they don't transform themselves at all. And I mean, like, it's connected with other things. It's like every manager wants to, and I will say it ugly, wants to do a change, you know. And I have seen a lot of attempts to implement Scrum or other things, and they always change something to something different. And from my point of view, it comes from misunderstanding. Or they are trying to keep their ways behind. For example, like, okay, we will be comparing velocity of the teams. What? This is nonsense. Or we will just story points is essentially just, you know, transformation of man days. No, it isn't. And I see that most of the management who push really hard for agile transformations, they try to incorporate changes, which essentially means that they are not changing their way, because they want to see this waterfall planning, they want to see features delivered on time, they want to see exactly this. So what would you recommend to me as an individual contributor, how I can push, you know, not against the change, but with the change, so the change incorporates the people who push it down?
That's a really good question, and I would start with a quote. Like, I heard it somewhere that, you know, everyone is okay with change as long as the change doesn't concern them. So we find with that, like, but just, you know, you want me to change? No, everyone else in the team can change, but not me. And I think it should be role of your Scrum Master or Agile lead or however you call this role, if you have it, just to balance these needs out. Because exactly as you said, like, you as an individual team contributor, you have certain needs, and there are certain things that can be done to improve your work and everything. But you need to give something back. Like, I don't know, for example, update your tickets in Jira once a day. And management, they want some numbers, but they should be giving something back as well, what they can give back. Sometimes it's more independence to the team. Like, okay, I'm not gonna, like, this is a tech decision, you can sort it out as a team. I just need to know the outcome of it. Or I'm not gonna challenge you. You mentioned story points. This is like never-ending story. I personally, right now in last year or so, I try to avoid usage of words of Agile, Scrum, Kanban, anything, because there's like so many misinterpretations of this that I just go to people and I just say, you know, we're just gonna work on continuous improvement, or however we're gonna call. Because what really matters is bring some transparency into the process. Then if you have transparency, if you have visualized work, that's the first huge step. Like, many companies don't even have that. And if you see all the work there, it doesn't matter, you know, in terms of story points or everything, but it just, having it somewhere can help you to get to the next step. And that's up to the company, like, decide what's that next step's gonna be. But if you have transparency, you can have prioritization, you can have dependency management, you can have some kind of a planning. And it all just adds up. But what people really often do is just to use this for taking control over the teams or micromanagement, as I mentioned. And what would be my recommendation to you? Just to really try to talk to your Scrum Master first. Try to challenge some of the things maybe. Like, okay, as a team, like we need also this. If you have retrospectives, like there are some things and action items that you can probably take through the retrospectives. It's not an easy situation because from my perspective, like this should be role of the Scrum Master. He or she should be taking care of that those things are not happening, the team is heard out, and they should be able to push back on all levels. Not only like, I see discrepancies between like some people push too much on the team, other people just listen too much to the team and push. You just need to find a fine balance when you find those areas when like, let the team, like this is team's responsibility. Let them deal with this. This is management concern, but it also has an impact in organization. So we need to find a way how we're going to manage this. I don't know if that answered your question. But
yeah, thank you.
OK, so I'm just getting a message that we're out of time. But thank you very much.